Hello, as we begin a new week here at Radically Rational and RadicallyRational.com. A 540-degree dunk? Are you kidding me? That left me McClunging to my childhood basketball fantasies. 540 degrees? A dunk that requires a protractor and a compass to keep track of it? A dunk that could only be judged by Neil deGrasse Tyson? That's unbelievable. That was some Philadelphia freedom right there. And that kid has a dual contract. He also plays in the G League. Man, that dunk was from the G League. Just amazing. And you know what? It was entertaining. It was fresh. Something that frequently cannot be said about the NBA's All-Star Carnival. But that was good. And then they'll mess it up with a faux basketball game later today. Brittany is back in ball and back in business, and that's a good thing. Okay, pardon me. I mean, no offense to NASCAR fans, but left turn, left turn, left turn, left turn. You know what? I'm sorry. I'm sure it's a personal flaw. I'm just not into it. And here's the difference. When I was a younger man, I felt a need to apologize for it. Oh, I'm sorry I don't like NASCAR. I'm sure it's a personal flaw. Here's the deal. I'm almost 70. I don't like NASCAR. Deal with it. But it looks good on you. Tiger is 12 shots off the lead, and I cannot take my eyes off him. And as for Tampon Gate, I'll just have one comment and let it go. Pragmatically, Tiger needs to be smarter than that. So Frankie the Lab and I rewatched the AFC Championship game again last night. Man, that game was even better than I remembered. That was just awesome. They were going at it. Oh, and you know what? After watching the game again, yeah, it was a late hit. Just like that was defensive holding a week later in the Super Bowl. But if we're lucky, we'll have Mahomes and Burrow going at it every year for the next decade. That's great. The Niners are the early betting and media favorites in the NFC for this coming season, 2023. That's amazing when you consider their uncertainty at quarterback, and it reflects on the rest of that roster that's been built by John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. The Eagles, maybe they're not in that great a position right now. They've lost both coordinators, and when you look at free agency and cap issues they have, they may have a very hard time keeping that defense together. All right, so I caught a couple of series of the XFL game last night involving the Houston Roughnecks. And man, those uniforms are rough in the neck and elsewhere, but I was entertained. And you bet I'm going to pay a whole lot more attention to the San Antonio Brahmas or Brahmas game today against St. Louis at the Alamo Dome because I'm a big Hines Ward fan. Like any ex-receiver at any level, we love Hines Ward because Hines Ward taught the world that receivers do not have to be pin cushions and punching bags and human piñatas. We can hit you back. Better yet, we can hit you first. Our planet is about to lose one of its greatest human inhabitants. Jimmy Carter, as you know, has entered hospice care. His life has been almost a full century of human service. And I keep coming back to the word human, and I keep coming back to the word servant and service because he viewed leadership as a position of servitude. It was all about helping others. He was far from a perfect president. There were some components of that job for which he was ill-suited, but you never had to question where he was coming from. And think about this, his greatest lifetime accomplishments came after he left the White House in 1981, and that's 42 years ago. It's amazing to think that a human being would not consider being president of the United States the pinnacle of his life. He was just getting started. And it was service not only to Americans, but to citizens of the globe. And there's nothing naive about that. There's nothing to sneer at there. Think about this. There can be no doubt Jimmy Carter, America's greatest ex-president. A man of service. And there's that word again. And this too, Jimmy Carter is simply a good man. He radiates goodness. And I think the saddest part of the national crisis we have right now And it's led by this completely white supremacist driven MAGA autocracy movement. And I just said it, and I'm not backing off on that either. But the saddest part of that is how we have completely abandoned the concept of just personal goodness. We have half the country that thinks goodness is weakness. We have half the country that thinks goodness is naive. We have half the country that thinks goodness is something to sneer at, and they treat it with derision and rejection. It's almost as if they think only suckers are good. Jimmy Carter's a good man, and Jimmy Carter is no sucker. And I may add just gently and quickly that there are many self-styled Christians who might want to take a look at that man and the way faith, true faith, has guided his life. We are about to lose a truly great man and a truly great American. And he will leave us with one question that I ask us all to address and consider. What's so bad about being good? We are radically rational.